Everyone, if you've clicked on this video, then you already know that this is Miss Volk's online classroom, or you accidentally clicked on it and have regretted it ever since. I'm back to talk with you some more about Motown. Now, last time we talked about the where,
Detroit,
and when
1959
Motown began. Today, we'll learn about the development of Motown, some key players, and its role in the civil rights movement. I've invited some special guests today who will help me tell you everything you ever needed to know about Motown. Let's begin with the founding fathers.
The $10 founding father without a father.
Oh no, not those guys. The founders of Motown. Let's review from last time by starting with Berry Gordy Jr. He founded the most successful Black-owned music company in the United States. An important man like this must have had an important background. In fact, he was a very wealthy only child, went to Harvard, and was actually working as a lawyer when he started composing music.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Wait, that's not right. Oh yeah, Berry Gordy was one of 8 children, was kicked out of his music class, dropped out of high school, took up boxing, and was working in a car factory when he had the idea for Motown Records. Fast forward a few years, and we begin to see the impact that this man had on history.
You'll know the name Mr. Berry Gordy, who was the founding father of the Motown music era.
Berry Gordy was really integral in helping to write songs, gather musicians together with songwriters, and really helped it to become a cultural phenomenon.
But Berry Gordy couldn't do it alone. He assembled an incredible team around him, each person with a specific role.
Smokey Robinson was a key player. He was part of the group The Miracles.
Smokey Robinson was also a songwriter and the vice president of the company. So just to recap, Smokey Robinson wrote and sang top hits, was a founder and the vice president of the first successful music corporation owned by African Americans by the age of 21. I'm 26 and I spent last night eating pizza rolls and watching reruns of The Bachelor. Take a look at a few other important founding fathers and mother of Motown. We are family. Sing it to me. I got all my sisters with me. Now the name Motown is catchy, just like its music, but where did it come from?
One of the nicknames for Detroit, Michigan is Motor City. Berry Gordy took out the T-O-R in motor, changed city to town, and put them together.
Berry Gordy didn't think that the word city had the down-home feel he was looking for, and he was right. I just love listening to this Mo City.
No, don't like that.
Motown Records Corporation became a staple in the Black community.
Between 1961 and 1971, there were 110 top 10 hits from Motown,
which is one of the biggest honors that a musician can have, even to this day.
Before Motown, the popular music was rock and roll. Rock and roll started the trend of mixing music styles, but there was still one major problem.
Before Motown, Black artists and Black singers and producers would write songs and sing songs, but they would not be able to be put on the air just because of the color of their skin. A lot of songs that Black people wrote would often be covered by white artists.
Elvis Presley
Thank you very much.
had hit much of his music influenced by Black culture.
Because of copyright issues, there was a lot of stealing other people's music just by hearing it.
The goal of Motown was to make music for everyone. This goal is extremely important because Motown music became popular in the early 60s, right when the civil rights movement was in full swing.
Motown changed a lot for the Black community during the time of civil rights.
By organizing and helping find Black local talent,
Motown was like, hey, we are artists too, we are musicians too, and we just want our voice to be heard.
For the African American, times were hard during the 50s and the 60s.
A lot of Motown artists were going through prejudice,
segregation.
They were going through racism. And so a lot of that was reflected in their music. A Change Is Gonna Come by Al Green was talking about how he hoped the change would come during the civil rights movement.
Motown laid a solid foundation for the Black community to help break barriers.
It gave African Americans the freedom to fully express themselves through music, through dance.
It wasn't applicable to see people like yourself as an African American on the big stage, on TV. Motown really helped to build that clientele. The face of music for the Black community really helped people in the Black community to see people just like them getting to live out their dreams through music.
Smokey Robinson said the audiences at clubs will be slowly more and more integrated the more they would tour around the world, even in America, and mixed audiences became more common, and black kids and white kids would be dancing.
Because it was during the civil rights movement, it just had much more of an impact because the music is so soulful and there was music that talked about change.
It became a symbol of pride and self-expression.
To have a music that was for us and by us, produced by us, and given to public audiences by us, gave us our own freedom that we were not receiving at that time.
Songs like
What's Going On
by Marvin Gaye and
Respect
by Aretha Franklin pointed out racial inequalities.
Oh, and remember this guy? Yeah, kind of important. Martin Luther King Jr. was an activist and the leading spokesperson in the civil rights movement. Motown Records not only created famous songs in the 60s and 70s, but they also recorded and released the speeches of Martin Luther King Jr., including the famous I Have a Dream speech. Remember, in this day you couldn't go back and watch the speech on YouTube. This record, which also included the song We Shall Overcome, made it possible for people to listen to this speech over and over again for hope.
Our special guest will be back next time when we listen to some of the famous hits of the Motown era. With that, this has been Ms. Volk's online classroom, and we'll see you next time.